Guys, this is Hale Hentges, intern at Locker Room Talk and tight end at the University of Alabama. And for someone like me, hydration is extremely important every day of my life. I know for a lot of you guys it is too. And I really just wanted to be able to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to conquer, any hydration issues that you might be having. Because as you can see in college sports, it's extremely important. So hopefully I can give you guys some good knowledge on order what to do and really just how to conquer that. So I want to start it off by just kind of telling you the importance of staying hydrated. As you guys know, you can't perform at your peak level if you're not hydrated. And a lot of you might not fully understand what that perfect hydration looks like. I know all of you guys have seen, that cliche like P chart, but I really want to kind of be able to tell you exactly what that looks like. And so here's a picture of everything that the different spectrum of hydration. As you can see, this top part here, that's pretty much clear. That's what you're going for. Down here, dark brown. Comment if you guys have ever peed that, because I do not believe you, because I've never seen that ever. So if you guys have peed that, let me know. And you'll probably be the first person who have ever said that. But you really need to be going for up in here. And how you get to that is totally up to you. And everybody has, a different process or whatever they use in order to get to that maximum hydration. Obviously down here at the University of Alabama, it's extremely hot. And what I do is probably different than some of what you guys do. But I kind of want to walk you through what I do in my daily life to make sure that I'm ready to practice in 100-degree, 110-degree heat that we have to go through. So what a typical day looks like for me. Rachel asked a really good question that I'll answer real quick before I get into this. Is it possible to be overhydrated? That's definitely possible. So what you kind of want to do is get to that point to where you're peeing clear. And if you get to that point where you're peeing like every, 5 minutes, which I do sometimes before games, then you're probably overhydrated. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a bad thing. You've probably heard those horror stories of people drinking too much water and their, kidneys fail or their brain collapses or something like that. But it would take a lot to get to that point. So just go until like you feel like you can't pee. You're peeing like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. Okay, so I'll kind of walk you through like a typical day looks like for me. And I'm going to talk about what fall camp looks like, which is the worst possible time for hydration issues. Like you have to be perfectly hydrated during fall camp because you're going through, practices, meetings, times where you're really going to be needing to be fully hydrated. So it all starts the night before. A lot of people think that, I can just wake up and drink water and I'll be totally fine, which works for some people. But for me, someone who I would consider is on the extreme end of the spectrum, this does not work for me. So you've probably heard of the old soldier's technique where if you drink a ton of water before bed, you'll wake up early and you'll have to pee. I live by that because you have to wake up early anyway to go to meetings. But two, you'll wake up in the middle of the night and you'll have to pee and you'll be hydrated. So what I try to do is literally just drink a Gatorade and a water before bed, like 32 ounces, probably something like that. And it'll hit you like 3 or 4 a.m. and then you'll be hydrated for the day before. Because a lot of people get themselves into a hole from the very beginning by your body goes 8, 9, 10 hours without, drinking anything. So naturally you're going to be dehydrated. Then after that, I pretty much drink in regular intervals throughout the day. And what that will be is anything from, water, Gatorade. You usually want to stick to those 3 things. One thing that I really like is this coconut water here, Vita Coco. That's really good. That kind of, it's got a lot of sodium into it, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But sodium and potassium is also key to staying hydrated, and that's what I really like to do. So I try to drink regular intervals throughout the day. As soon as I know practice is on the horizon, like within the next 20 or the next 2-3 hours, I really start hitting water hard, just because I have to be ready. I kind of try to get like that P chart that I showed you. I try to get it to a certain point, and it's kind of just like you got to get in your own routine. And that's something that I didn't really fully understand when I was a high school athlete. And I'll talk to you about those issues that I had in high school here in a little bit. But you really have to get yourself into a routine, and that's something that everyone has to figure out on their own. But for me, I'll drink water during meetings, before meetings, like right after meetings get out, like all the way up until I put my cleats on to practice. And then like I've gotten to such a routine over these 4 years here at the University of Alabama that I know exactly when I have to pee in order to Jake, yes, you can have an autograph here in a little bit. I know exactly, kind of what I have to do in order to get myself ready. And that's something that you guys will figure out over time. So Janae asked, what do you recommend for athletes who hate drinking water but know they need to? My teammates can't stand drinking water. So the best thing would be Gatorade, just because it's got that perfect mix of electrolytes, sodium, and pretty much everything else that you need to reach that maximum hydration. If they don't like Gatorade, coconut water I think is really good. A lot of people don't have access to that. Other than that, I would say like any like sparkling water or like a fruit drink, almost like those sparkling ices are really good. Or like even like put Crystal Light like in a water bottle. I do that a lot, and that helps out with a lot of the taste. Blue Gatorade is phenomenal. I'm more of a lemon lime kind of guy, but blue's also really good. So I want to talk to you guys because a lot of you, I'm sure, are in high school right now, and you might struggle with. I struggled with. I'm from Missouri, where it's not necessarily as hot as Alabama, but it can get really hot, and I would cramp almost every single football game, and a lot of that was to deal with me just never really getting a break, but most of it dealt with the fact that I didn't know how to properly hydrate myself. So because of my improper knowledge of nutrition and everything that was supposed to go into it, I felt like I hurt myself and hurt my team. And that's the last thing I want to happen to you guys. So almost every single game, it would probably be the third or fourth quarter, usually the third quarter, I would just get hit with terrible calf cramps. And that was something that's extremely, difficult to play through. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that finals game a couple years ago where LeBron was playing for the Heat, and the atmosphere of the arena was so hot that he cramped, and he had never done that before. But I'm sure if he would have taken proper steps, knowing that it was hot outside to do that, that wouldn't have happened to him. And those proper steps for me in high school were not the proper steps that I take now. So one thing that I live and die by, and I didn't have when I was in high school, is this right stuff thing. So basically what this is, sodium is extremely important in your muscles to make sure you're not cramping. So if you guys can see, sodium-wise, there's 1780 milligrams. That's 70% of your daily value of sodium. So I lose a lot of salt whenever I sweat. I'm sure some of you guys too. That's how you get like salt rings around your hat or salt rings around your shirt. And that's something that a lot of you guys probably deal with. So in order to combat that, you have to put all this sodium in before. So whenever you lose it, it's not as detrimental. So you're supposed to drink one of these per hour. I think that's a little extreme. So I usually drink 2 or 3 of these like throughout the day. And that really has helped me out. I'll drink these at practice. And a lot of you guys, your nutritionists might not have these available. That's something that we're fortunate enough to have. But if it's really a problem for you, I would recommend, buying it on your own, because it really is that important. So what I want to do for you guys, because I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering about this, is actually try one of these. And they're not very good, but I want to show you guys. I always like to just preload with a little water to make it not as bad. So, So I hope you guys learned some stuff. Thank you so much for joining me, and roll Tide.